Hi, everybody, and welcome to Devotions today. It's Friday, and I hope your week has been good for you. Well, we're heading towards Holy Week, the last leg of the journey of Lent. We have a number of activities in our church which will be announced to you in one way or another, and we hope that you'll be able to participate if you are nearby. Well, we're looking today at this idea of sacrifice. You know, sacrifice actually means to make holy, to set something aside. And we read a lot about sacrifice in the Bible. If you look back at the story of David, David, as we know, was a magnificent servant of God, and yet he made this one very crucial error in his life. He committed adultery with a woman who wasn't his wife, and then he had to cover it up and all that was involved with that, which included murder, by the way. And we see that when he goes to God, there is no sacrifice which he can offer, which can cover his sins. Because the sacrificial system was simply for inadvertent sins or ritual sins. If we committed some deep moral mistake, if we wandered from God's law of holiness, there was no sacrifice of an animal that could be made. As a matter of fact, in that very psalm where David confesses his sins and asks for forgiveness, Psalm 51, it says in verse 17, "The sacrifice that you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject, a broken and repentant heart, O God." Another translation says, "The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, you will not despise." Well, it is a matter of the heart and the offering of the heart. Now, this relationship between us and God is an interesting thing about how we approach each other. How does God approach us? God amazingly approaches us in his love with a sacrifice. The sacrifice of himself in his Son, Jesus Christ. By offering that sacrifice of love for us, which we remember especially at this time of the year, he calls us to respond to his love and to come to know him and to receive him. And what is our response? Our response is also to be a sacrifice. And we read a lot in the Bible about the sacrifice that we are called to make. What are they? Well, I just want to mention 4 things very briefly. And they all begin with an S, strangely. And the first one is the sacrifice of ourselves. Paul, when he writes to the Romans in chapter 12 and verse 1, he says, "I implore you to offer yourselves as a living sacrifice, your will, your way, your life offered over to God." That's the first and most important sacrifice that we can make. Lord, I am yours. The second one is song, praising God with our lips. The letter to the Hebrews, chapter 13, says, "We offer God the sacrifice which is the fruit of our lips," a sacrifice of praise. And sometimes praise really is a sacrifice when life is going tough. And when we come together in church, we offer God that sacrifice in song, the fruit of our lips, as we offer him our songs and our prayers. And then the third aspect of the sacrifice is what David talks about here, sorrow, a broken and a repentant or a contrite heart. When we have wandered away from God, we come back to him with the sacrifice of a heart that is broken because of our failure, our sin, and our disobedience. And the wonderful thing is that Jesus has therefore made the way for us to be forgiven, and God is ready to receive us back. And the last of the 4 is the sacrifice of service. Also in the letter to the Hebrews, he says, the sacrifice that pleases God is when we share with others those things that we are able to give them. Practically serving others is a sacrifice to God. We sacrifice ourselves, we offer our songs, We bring our sorrowful hearts to God when we have failed, and we seek to serve Him in practical ways by loving others. Well, God offers us a sacrifice, and in response, we offer Him the sacrifice that we can make. We love Him because He first loved us. And so as we go forward into the days that lie ahead, let us live in this beautifully intimate relationship of self-giving from God and self-giving from us. May God bless you richly, and may you grow in love for Him and experience the love that He has for you. Amen. And God go with you.